How do you know you're growing? How do you know your personal growth efforts, your healing efforts, your trauma recovery efforts are working? How do you know it's happening? Because it doesn't always look like, and it often doesn't at all look like massive change overnight. But it's extremely important because if I'm putting in the effort, I want to see some results. I need to see some results. It gives me the encouragement to keep going. Seeing that I actually can impact myself for the good is crucial. It gives me some wind in my sails to keep pushing ahead and keep growing. I'm Zalman Nelson. Welcome to the channel. I'm an online therapist. I help people upgrade their relationships with themselves, which then automatically leads to an upgrade in their relationships with other people. You're here in the online therapy studio, and let's get into it. So, growth, change, success, victories. It doesn't look like some massive change, but then again, whatever does really look like overnight. But we do want to know what some of the signs are. Very often, as I'm working with people, I am crazy about pointing out victories, small signs, until people themselves are able to identify it so that they themselves can feel capable, but then they can also praise themselves and they can also encourage themselves. But it's very important to be aware of these signs of healing. You have to celebrate the wins, you have to celebrate the victories, because it gives us that confidence and that encouragement that we can in fact grow. And once we see it moving, that then starts to continue to motivate us. But very often I like to encourage people to think about what they know as fact, which is, well, if I go to the gym and I put in the effort consistently, I'm going to start to see some results. And it's important because it's not like I expect to see instant results by going to the gym. I've got to go consistently. That being said, I can go, not a huge amount of time, let's say 10 minutes a day, 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm going to start to see some results. But if I go to the gym once a month, I'm not really going to see so much results. And I think people are comfortable with that and on board with that. And we want to take and borrow what we know from whatever realm to help us in our own personal growth or inner growth. It can be abstract. I'm working on some part of myself, some inner kid part. What does it look like? And so, but yeah, I want to empower you to feel comfortable. Take what you know, borrow from everything around you. So the world of exercise, putting in a little bit of effort, I know is going to deliver results, even if there are times where my workout sucked, I didn't feel good, or I don't really see results, but we keep going. We know it's a question of time before we're going to start to see results. But we really want to celebrate the victories. You have to know what some of those victories are, and I hope to point them out to you and give you a couple of really important ones so that you can start to celebrate your own victories. So if you stick through to the end, you'll get a whole bunch of my tips, including the last one, which I think is really important and awesome, which a lot of people struggle with, but it's amazing to achieve it. So here's another point about victories, why it's so important. A lot of people have this natural approach for a whole bunch of different reasons, and we can get into it another time why that is, but people are hyper-focused on the bad, on the negative. They'll tell you a whole list of everything that sucks, that's bad, that's not good, that they don't like. They're not into or aware of or conscious or even thinking about the positives that are going on. That's a lie. That's not true. Why do people do it? I'll give you one example. You tell me in the comments if you struggle with this. I struggled with it for years. If you struggle with this, tell me in the comments. But why would you be hyper-focused? It's like that's the only way I can ensure that I am going to actually work on some of those negatives. Or for the triggering people, when I hyper-focus on my negatives and I ignore my positives, it's the exact same feeling I had as a kid when I'd come home with a 95 on the test. My parents would say, where's the other 5 points? That hyper-criticism, I'm triggering myself. I'm making myself feel in a certain familiar way. Why? Well, that's the work we do here, which is that's my inner kid part. I'm trying to heal that. But the truth is that there's good and there's bad, and both are true. So I don't tell people, no, ignore the bad and focus on the positive. That's not going to work because it's not true. But it's also not true that it's all bad and it all sucks and I'm not succeeding at all. The truth is that there's a lot of positives and good. What we want to do is catch ourselves in that negative loop of hyper-focus on the negatives or what's lacking or what still sucks and point out, okay, but what else is good, or where am I positive, where am I doing well, where am I achieving? Ideally, we think about the positive, we think about what's good, we're grateful, we pat ourselves on the back, we encourage ourselves, and then we say, okay, with that energy, that inspiration that I can in fact succeed, let's go jump into that whole list of negatives. You don't have to hide it or pretend it's not there. Let's jump in and do it. But let's take on those areas that are not yet successful after having reminded us that we can in fact succeed because we've reviewed in our mind or hung out with some of our successes. So it reminds us that we are capable of success, and we want to jump in then and go, and we can take a look at some of those areas that still need improvement. So it's another reason why being aware of our victories is really important. So let's jump into it. What are these victories? What do they look like? And like I said, very often in my therapy session work with people, I have to pause and say, that's a victory. And some of these people look at me like, what are you talking about? Just because it took me longer to get angry? And I say, yeah. Or the person will say, I got angry, but I was aware of it as it was happening. These slight, small changes are victories. There's difference, there's change. Something is moving. It's not just the same old, same old. We celebrate the heck out of it because it reminds us that we can, in fact, succeed. And then we want to keep going. So being aware that you're getting angry or upset as it's happening, catching it faster, being able to calm yourself down faster, realizing you're slipping into an old dynamic faster. Those are all signs. And I point them out because that's often where we start. It's the small little shift or movement. And those are victories. And we definitely want to celebrate them because that's what they are. We are moving. We're in progress. Because you're going to say, yeah, but that's it. That's my growth. That's it. No. But you're in progress. You've left behind one side of the river, jumped into the boat into the raging waters to get to the other side of the river where there's good things there. It's an even better situation than you were, but you're in flux, you're in flow, you're moving, you're progressing, you're moving along. So these small little things count and matter. And so I'll point them out, but I want you also to be on the lookout for your victories, celebrate them, feel good about them, and then get right back into continuing to grow. These are victories. So being able to see something, notice something, being aware of it, because so often when a person first comes to try to grow, they're stuck in these loops and automatic reactions, like a knee-jerk reaction. They're just protection, defensive type behaviors they've been doing for a long, long time. They don't even realize we're not even aware. And so just becoming aware itself is very often, that is a victory. That is a sign. That is a sign of positive growth and development. So don't be afraid, that it doesn't look so wow. Every little bit counts and matters. Another way that you could see growth is like I said, that being aware of things is catching yourself. That, I caught myself getting upset a little bit quicker, and then a little bit quicker, and then a little bit quicker. That's usually how the growth goes. You see yourself going from like getting angry and freaking out and not realizing it until like an hour later, until like now I realize it just after I did it. Then I'm realizing what's happening in the middle of it, and you're getting closer and closer to the beginning, right where you launch into that kind of a triggered response, as opposed to facing emotions and being with them. This has been my knee-jerk self-protection coping mechanism for the longest time. And then you'll get yourself to a place where even you see it about to happen, and it's an amazing, amazing moment where you're like, I see what's happening. I know exactly where this is going to go, and now I can make a different decision. I don't want to go down that path. And that's a massive victory. Now before it really even happens, you've created this space, this moment of just, I see where it's going. I have choice. You actually reestablish choice. When most of the behaviors that bring a person to seek out help, support, personal growth, healing, therapy, they're unhealthy coping mechanisms to various emotions. We're not even aware of it. We're doing it so long. Emotion comes up, run and avoid. Running and avoidance looks like any one of a number of things, like drinking, drugging. We could like rage and projection onto others, blaming people. But its emotions come up and I'm off to the races running away. And so there's no choice really there. It happens so fast, so automatic. And what you start to realize is, well, wait, I see where this is going. By being aware of myself emotionally, I start to realize I don't have to do anything. I have a moment. I can pause. I can actually think and reflect. And so just before I launch into anger or the typical response, I'm already aware that's happening. That's an amazing, amazing, awesome moment. Similarly, you'll find it in a similar situation and reacting differently. Okay, so the next one would be that if what I like to encourage people to do is to work with a feelings chart. You can Google feelings chart and search it, but we don't have the emotional vocabulary to really get to know what we feel, to be there for ourselves. But if you would, let's say once a day, take a minute and sit with a feelings chart and be like, okay, when this week did I have a strong emotional reaction? Okay, and put yourself back in that moment and start to name some of the feelings. You're beginning to connect with yourself. So either we are tuned into what we feel, or we're going to continue to attract people and situations that will bring out those feelings. Nobody makes us feel anything. They just put us in touch with feelings that we've been carrying for a long time. So if I'm doing that work regularly, like those workouts we mentioned earlier on, what I'm going to find is I am less and less reactive when I'm in situations that brings out those very same feelings. It's almost like I'm inoculated against having a triggered response. I just don't need it. I don't need somebody triggering me in order to be aware of what I feel. I'm already very in touch with what I feel. And so if something's the very same person, the very same situation, then you know exactly how it's gone a million times. But you see that you're less reactive, or you see it more and more as their issue. You also feel yourself less compelled to do anything. You're just kind of calm and watching it. It's an amazing moment where you're really free. You're no longer desperately seeking validation or trying to get people to understand you. You're much more calm and contained within yourself. So it's a really incredible moment, and that's also very possible. So it's the same situation, but you're just not behaving the same way. So along the way, you'll also start to notice you can pick up how other people react to you. Some people will see you're growing, see you're changing, you're like more expressive, more confident, more clear, better boundaries. Some people will react really positively. They'll go along with it. Some people even verbalize, "Hey, you're doing a great job." That's a great one. Some people won't like it at all. And so you'll get some very strong reactions, like almost, "How dare you have needs and wants?" Like, or "How dare you put in boundaries?" And it's uncomfortable, but it is a sign that you are growing. And just be prepared for that. As you are growing, some people will be supportive and on board with it, and some people won't. And you're often surprised about who falls in which categories. Some people will cut off contact. They don't like it at all. They expect you to behave in a certain way, and you see where that goes in the future. Another tool, another tip is if you want to know, like, am I growing? Like, what can I do to help me? I'm not seeing signs, let's say, or I'm not clear. What you can always do is compare yourself to yourself, which is one of my favorite tools. So let's say something occurs and you see how you handled it, and you go, "Yeah, but, I did this good, but this part wasn't so good." It's like, "But wait a minute, how would I have handled that a year ago?" And then you'll see, compare yourself to yourself. The me of today handled it this way. The me of a year ago, I think, would handle it very differently. Typically, you'll see that. Listen, expand the time. Make it 5 years ago, or whatever it is you need to see the difference. And then you'll see right in your face there that you've done a lot of growth, which is awesome. So here's that final tip that I promised you, which is the ability to be on your own, alone with yourself. I think a lot of us are very scared, very uncomfortable to be with our thoughts, be with our feelings. So on our phones, always around people, always distracting, always running away from it. And I don't think we're bad. We just don't know. We don't have the support. We don't have the tools to connect with these parts of ourselves and get to know them. But that means we're very uncomfortable sitting with our own thoughts and feelings. If you can just be by yourself, walking out in nature, walking down the street without being on the phone, without any music, without anything going on, just being with your thoughts and feelings, and that's becoming more and more comfortable, that's a great and awesome sign that you are really growing and really on your way. So I hope this is helpful. Make sure that, give yourself a fair shake. Take a look at areas in which you are growing. Celebrate the heck out of your victories and use that to inspire you to keep growing. So thanks for being here. Give us a subscribe, please, if you like the video. A like, a share, let other people know about the channel, and we'll talk more soon.